To quote the line from this movie that gets a lot of attention, what a wonderful day. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes was directed by Wes Ball and continues the story of the Planet of the Apes franchise leading up to the original movie. These are all the prequels that reset that in this, rebooted franchise. The previous three movies, Rise, Dawn, and War, chronicles Caesar's story and how the simian flu came into effect, destroyed almost all of humanity, and how apes took over as the superior species. Kingdom takes place generations later after the death of Caesar and how things have evolved since then. Apes have completely taken over at this point, but it seems like clans of apes have formed which are against each other. And one of these conflicts leads to our main character in this one, Noah, played by Owen Teague, who has to track down Proximus Caesar, played by Kevin Durand, and find out what is going on with the girl named May, played by Freya Allen, who seems to be very important to everything that is transpiring. I loved Rise, Dawn, and War. I think that trilogy of movies deserves a lot more credit than it gets because all three of them were pretty remarkable. I also think that they deserve a lot more credit when it comes to the performances, particularly Andy Serkis, which is an absolute shame that there is no motion capture award because that's a performance right there that deserved that attention. And really what those movies did was tell an incredibly thought-provoking yet visually striking story of a world which is eventually taken over, but also weighing the pros and cons of that, and essentially putting it in a moment where you have to think about just the kind of issues that can arise from the virus spreading and eventually, this species coexisting, whether or not it can be done or not. I think War especially did a really great job of this, and I think by a hair I like that one the most of those three movies. I know a lot of people say Dawn, but I have to give the point to War, but personally I think there's something really special about that movie. And so naturally going into Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of buzz, and I have to say after watching the movie, I am pleased to report it is pretty damn great. I don't know if I love it as much as Dawn or War, but I think the fact that after 4 movies the standard still is as high as it is something to be remarked upon. It's pretty amazing what they've been doing with these movies. And with Kingdom, you get something that is, again, extremely poignant and extremely well told. I think Wes Ball does a really great job directing this movie and presenting that story. And it's a movie that acts as a really great coming of age story as well as an expansion of the world. With Noah, he is someone who is still trying to figure out the ropes of the world, and he hasn't really, understood enough yet. He thinks he has, but that's because that's the world he's been raised in. But there's so much out there that eventually when he goes on this journey, because of things that happen, eventually what he begins to learn about the world and about, how much more there is to offer, his perceptions on things change, his outlook on things change, and he is able to become more mature as a result of that. And I loved what the film was able to accomplish there, and Owen Teague is fantastic in the movie. It's come to a point now where the CGI is so seamless when it comes to these characters that it's hard to think for a moment that it's motion capture. There are moments where, you'll have humans, like you'll have Freya Allen or anyone else who is, being hunted by apes in a scene, and it's hard to tell that, these are people in mocap suits chasing other people. It's hard to fathom that, and yet somehow that's done over here tremendously. But again, going back to the performances, I love what he is able to accomplish with that character. There's an arc with him, especially when it comes to having an eagle. There's something that his clan does, which is raise eagles and have them as their own. And eventually he has to connect with an eagle. And that particular arc I thought was beautifully handled. It's really remarkable stuff how even in the grand scheme of things, those simpler story beats are as powerful as they are. With Proximus Caesar, you've got a pretty great villain in Kevin Durand, who's having a pretty fun year. He was also in Abigail earlier, and he's phenomenal in this. Of course, this is a high bar because villains in these prequels have been pretty amazing, especially with the last two, with Toby Kebbell and Woody Harrelson. And so naturally, going into this one, you're expecting something pretty amazing. And with Proximus, you get this leader who is incredibly charismatic and is able to have everyone's attention with his words, and no wonder he's able to lead that tribe. But it's also interesting because a lot of what he is saying and doing is based on teachings that Caesar had, but they're being handled in ways that are more twisted. And it's all because, hey, he said so, so we're doing what he said. It's like, yeah, but not exactly. Like, there is a compassionate angle to what Caesar learned and, thought when it came to humans and to other creatures that you're not following. And so there is an aspect of the movie that delves into just, taking the words, something that's righteous, and twisting them into something. And that happens even in real life. I mean, you see it even with people, who preach something that is true, and they try to use it in a way that's harmful, but look, it's in the name of righteousness. Other characters like Raka and of course May, I think they're also extremely well fleshed out. The family dynamic that Noah has with the other members of his clan, really great stuff as well. I already mentioned it's a visually stunning movie, but really the landscapes and everything that's in here are genuinely incredible. I believe a lot of this was filmed on locations, as in like the actual landscapes and stuff, which you can kind of tell. And I have to really, give credit to that. I'm so excited to see the bonus features of this whenever the Blu-ray 4K drops, because I can't wait to see how else they've been able to film this thing. I heard somewhere they're doing a mocap only version of the movie as well, which I am so excited for. I think that's just an incredible filmmaking tool. I mean, you show that to people who are getting into this. Of course I want to see that. Of course I want to see how you're able to make such seamless performances and, make them look as good as they are with the CGI applied to it. And again, flawless stuff. The score by John Pisano is also really, really great. Another very big thing, because you have to look at the last few movies. The scores of those movies really stuck out, especially with Dawn and War, because so many moments were without dialogue. And so to have the music convey certain things, I think Michael Giacchino, especially in War, did an incredible job. I think it's one of his best scores even now. I think with Kingdom, John Pisano really does do a pretty good job as well. And I think he, takes that legacy forward in great ways, which is something that you're going to hear a lot. It takes the legacy forward in a lot of ways. And I do agree with that. I think that what Kingdom is able to do is take so many of the strengths of the previous three movies and expands on them beautifully. And I think this is the start of something new that they're doing. So I think there's going to be a couple of more in this line of, the second prequel trilogy. That being said, I don't love this as much as Dawn or War. And I think that's mainly because I think they're both paced a little bit better. I think there are points in Kingdom where it ever so slightly drags, especially like, getting towards, the main bit of the plot and some parts of the second act. It does somewhat go a little long at points. It is a long movie. It's 2.5 hours long. So there's definitely things that I feel like in filmmaking wise, I think are stronger in the other movies than in this one. Also, for as much as I like Proximus Caesar as the villain, not enough of him as the villain. We build to him eventually. When we get to him, you get some really great scenes, but there's not a lot before that. And so I feel like if you're somebody who's very excited to see what Durand is able to do with that role, it is pretty great, but I would have liked a little bit more with him. I don't think there's as much as there could be. Regardless of that, I love Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I can't wait for more people to see it, and I hope you guys go check it out this weekend. Definitely a big screen movie. Looks and sounds amazing, and it is a fantastic blockbuster, and I really love these movies. I just want to see more and more in this line, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the next few chapters are going to tell. I'm gonna give Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes a 9 out of 10. Guys, thank you very much for watching, and if you've seen the other movies, let me know what your thoughts are on those. I would love to hear them. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I will see you guys in the movies.